All right, everyone. Hey, welcome back. It's another demo. We're going to be working on our color wheel, trying to lay down our designs. We're going to be working with our pie piece planning paper as well. I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps of how to create kind of the bones of your color wheel. So first thing we need is this worksheet completed. I like to call it the pie piece planning paper. You can call it a bunch of different things, but we are essentially working with a bunch of slices of a pie or a pizza or a wheel, whatever you want to call it. But we have one individual piece over here. We should have two more in addition practiced. And also on the back, just taking a look, we should have this design reflected and rotated just by hand as well. And this is a good way to do that. You can just simply redraw your design and reflect it with a little bit of rotation onto the next pie slice. So if we have a design that looks like this in this slice number 1, we have to then flip it, reverse it. We call it reflecting in this unit onto the next slice, and you do the same thing over here. So you can do that by hand. What I want to show you today is kind of a way to do that with a little bit a different way of doing it. So we're going to get our color wheel, so already we should have divided this entire color wheel into 12 slices. That is the first step. I've only done one section, but yours should be completely done. So we're going to, assuming that that's already done, we're going to move on to the next part. So we have one slice. Well, here, take it back. We're going to start here, and we're going to use a piece of tracing paper. So this tracing paper is very thin, very fragile, but it is see-through. So when you put it down on a piece of paper, you can actually see through it. I'm sure y'all have experienced this before, but this is what we're doing. So the first thing you want to do is take a piece of tracing paper. I'll get a new one so we can walk through it. So blank piece of tracing paper, you're going to lay that right on top of your slice on the pie piece planning paper. And what you want to do is just retrace it using a pencil. I like using a pencil that's been used a little bit. If the pencil's too sharp, you might rip the paper. So we want to kind of carefully redraw or trace our pie piece. And you're going to go through and do that whole thing. Just very carefully, the whole slice. Don't forget your design. Try to stay as accurate as possible, because this is going to be what you use to then draw your wheel. So you go through, you do the whole entire thing. Here, I'll just do it. Whatever designs you have, these geometric designs, the organic designs, just carefully retrace, try to be as accurate as possible. Almost there. Okay, done. So now I have a perfect copy, of my original design. It's off of my pie piece planning paper, and it is onto my tracing paper. Now we're going to take that slice that we just made over to our color wheel, So over to our divided color wheel into 12 pieces. We're going to take it and we're going to line it up with some of these slices. So it should fit reasonably well. Look at that. It's almost perfect. Almost perfect. But what you're going to do is take your slice and you're going to actually flip it over, so that the graphite is facing down. All right, and then what you're going to do is actually retrace your design with the graphite side down. So you're going to be retracing on the other side and do exactly what you did. You have the slices already created, so you don't have to draw the actual outside of the slice. All you have to do is go over your design. So I'm going to start here. And with a firm hand, you don't have to be have a lot of pressure, but you know, put some pressure on it. You don't have to poke through the tracing paper or anything like that, but try to hold it steady. If you want, you can use a piece of tape to hold that down. And also, if you want to kind of shade it a little bit to make these lines a little bit thicker, that is a good idea, which we'll kind of talk about here in a minute. So again, already moving through. Got to get this organic shape over here, this irregular blob guy. Just make sure we get it all. Try to keep the tracing paper as still as possible as we go around. And it doesn't exactly fit. We hand measured this, so it's not going to be absolutely perfect, but it's going to be pretty close. So there we go. I got that there. And now, magically, when I take this away, and it's a little bit difficult to see on the camera, but that has left an imprint or a photocopy on here. So now I can see where I've transferred my design. Now I'm just going to go over it with my pencil just to make sure everything is visible. And the nice thing about this, which I'll show you in a second, is you can now transfer both sides of your tracing paper. So your tracing paper kind of becomes the key to success, right? As we start to lay out our design in our color wheel, because we have, right, side A, but then also if we flip this over and position it correctly, we have side B as well. So if we flatten this out in the middle, we can kind of start to see what our color wheel will look like as we move forward. So you can also retrace the other side. So just to show you, retracing, you can go a little bit quicker than next time. Just try to stay accurate. The whole point of doing this with tracing paper is so you can get the exact design. And I don't know if you saw that, but I kind of moved over so that my designs match up. You can cheat a little bit. I call it making it work. You don't have to be super stuck. So see over here where you know, my design doesn't quite match up. I'm going to cheat a little bit, move it over so I have, you know, a perfect little matchup here, and that's going to help my design down the road. Again, pressing firmly but not too hard. We're going to trace. Boom. All right, and again, we have a light shading or a light kind of remnant of what that design looks like, and you can again cheat. So if you know that, you know, lines are supposed to meet one another, you can kind of make it work, fit it in. Oops, there goes my tracing paper. So this takes, you know, a fair amount of concentration. It's meant to be a time saver, but it's also meant to show you kind of how reflection and rotation works without being too much of a bother. So again, rolling through smoothly, carefully, redrawing my design. So there we go. We have, you know, side A reflected into side B, and then back to side A again. And it's actually going to go in that pattern all the way around. But this is 1/4 of the wheel done. It's reflected and rotated. And all we have to do now is just continue to do that all the way around in our 12 slices around the color wheel. All right, so we'll continue that process, continue using that tracing paper to move all the way around, continue that graphite transfer, as I like to call it, and get our entire design done on our color wheel to create that radial symmetry, that we've been looking for. So there we go. Does anyone have any questions?